Martha. So, your question is, you'd love to know what things can block your ability to map dowse accurately, and you're confident in other areas, but map dowsing not so much.
That's right.
Okay. So, any ideas, George?
I've got a few ideas, Richard, but good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming on. I've got a few ideas, but I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself proficient. If you can ever call yourself proficient at dowsing, I wouldn't call myself proficient at map dowsing. So I was actually hoping somebody maybe who's joined us this evening, maybe they have that as their own forte and can maybe give us some examples of what they do with the map dowsing and how they carry it out. Is there anybody in the audience that would be that has any experience of that, the map dowsing?
Well, I suppose, first of all, we start off with, the techniques of map dowsing, and it's difficult to explain it without actually demonstrating it. But a grid system works quite well, working with either letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G across the top and numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. down the side, and then dowsing which square something appears in. But I think it's as far as success and what have you is concerned, it really comes down to getting confirmations that what you've dowsed is accurate, and that's always a difficult one because we're obviously dowsing for something that may be intangible. But when we can get a confirmation that what we've dowsed that was intangible is actually accurate, then it just gives you confidence. And I think with map dowsing, it's a question of building up confidence to know that your responses are correct. So I think that it's also a question of practice. So I have to say that whenever I've tried map dowsing in a group, it's been singularly unsuccessful, because I think it's a game and there isn't a real need to find whatever it is that you're looking for. So if you can focus on something where there's a real need and then get a confirmation that what you've dowsed is accurate, then this is the way in which you build your confidence. And that I think is the only way in which you can actually improve your map dowsing. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on that.
Can I just ask you, Peter, thanks very much for that, the explanation, etc. And good advice, I'm sure. Have you got experience of map dowsing in a related story that you've been able to do that, confirm with the actual physical result of something that you've dowsed?
Well, I'm thinking, yes, there's an example that I usually give about map dowsing in that I was working once on a piece of land where there were some anomalies in the land which were causing a horse to be distressed. So the land needed healing. So I asked for the best healing point in the land, and I was only using a map. When I found the best healing point, it was actually outside the field in which the horse was positioned, and I didn't have permission to work in that particular area. So I then changed my dowsing question to, so we're on a slightly different subject here. It's all about permissions, but the net result of it was that I did find another healing point within the boundaries of the land within which I had permission to work, and it seemed to work. that I found a healing point and then concentrated my healing on that point, and the horse's condition improved.
And what was the condition of the horse?
Well, I'm not an expert on horses. It was just that its condition was poor. So I mean, maybe it didn't have a glossy coat. Maybe its teeth were falling out. I really don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just that it may have just been skittish. I really don't know. But all I know is that I found a healing point through map dowsing, used that healing point, and it improved.
Yeah.
So to me, it was a confirmation that the map dowsing works.
Could we bring Elizabeth in, please? She's had a hand up for a while.
Oh, thank you. I'll turn my camera off in between because my internet's very poor, but I am here. Just going back to the original question, quite a few of us have to be time specific with what we're asking. I particularly find this with maps because maps, when the map was made, it's describing a moment in time when that map was made. And also any land that's described on a map, as with any land in kind of real time, carries history. So I find if you're very time specific about the time that you're asking the question, so you have to go, where is it, what is it, whoever is it, at this time, and then you'll find that narrows down the interference a lot. And also with what Peter was just saying, with you can find things that are outside your ability to walk. So like the job that Peter had with finding out what was upsetting the horse, he'd only got permission from one landowner to go wandering about, and you don't want to go wandering in other people's fields if they've got livestock in, but you can do that from map dowsing. And then you can ask a secondary question, can I fix it within the area that I'm working physically? But I don't tend to do that. I can work exclusively from the map. And so if there was a healing point I found on the map, I would ask what the remedy was going to be that I needed to apply to that healing point. And I'd ask, if I do this remotely, will it hold? And then I'd ask, if I did this in reality, would it hold any better? And if it says it'll hold okay from doing it on the map, then I do what I would do in real life on the map. Obviously, I can't drive a metal stake into the map, but I can hold a piece of metal or even a biro point with intention over that spot, and or apply a homeopathic remedy, or apply if you want to work with angels and spirits and whatever, you can put a picture of one of those, or you can write a word on a piece of paper, and then you can leave it on the map for as long as it says. Or say you had a homeopathic remedy that would remedy, you just place that on the point on the map, and then you say, how long do I need to leave that? You know, is it minutes, hours, days, weeks, whatever, how long it needs to go. So the nice thing about map dowsing, it expands your repertoire immensely of what you can do. And I would say do it either on your own or with an experienced dowser that you trust until you get really used to it. Because there's often a bit of a kind of disconnect between your feet on the ground and your imaginary feet on the map. And I think once you've got over that disconnect, it works like a charm. Anyway, I'll be quiet because Sally wants to come on.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I was quite interested what Martha was trying to find. I totally agree with Peter. If I'm dowsing a route to the BSD conference, then I'll dowse the best route for me to go, and that works really well. We were at Fountains Abbey on Sunday, and if I wanted to dowse for the most healing spot for me there, and it would take me to the right spot. If I'm trying to find a bottle of wine that somebody's hidden in a field, it's never going to happen. It has to be meaningful for me. Yeah, I could probably snip out the wine without the pendulum, but yeah. So I'd be interested to know what Martha was trying to find. Yeah.
I agree with that, Sally. I think we need to know what the purpose of the map dowsing is, because we talked about healing, which is one application, but finding things that are lost is a completely different kettle of fish.
That's when the question came in, I assumed, maybe rightly or wrongly, that the question related to finding something physical in an area of the map. But of course, I didn't associate it with the healing aspect of it. But I would agree with you, Peter. They're quite different.
Can you help us, Martha? What is it that you've been looking for?
Well, I have tried several things, but part for lost animals, lost pets, and sometimes lost items. All things that I have felt motivated to do, but have had very mixed. But the feedback has been really, you've given me some good information. But yeah, so it was missing animals and sometimes lost items.
I think that I remember going on a class with Christopher Strong, who specialized in finding lost objects. And one of the first questions that he asked was, does the pet, does the animal, does the person, does the object want to be found? Because sometimes it doesn't want to be found. And you're never going to be successful if it doesn't want to be found. And the other aspect of the question that I remember him talking about was to ask where it is now. Because you can get very confused by tracking an animal which is on the move. So those are just a couple of things that come to mind when looking for pets or people. Does that help you, Martha? I've lost you, Martha.
Oh, I'm sorry. It won't unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Did you
Okay.
catch what we were saying?
Yes, I did, and yes, that helps a great deal. Thank you.
Martha, could you give us an example of? You mentioned some of your map dowsing's been successful. Could you give us an example of some of that?
Well, one of the beneficial ones, one of the good ones that happened was, but it sort of it reminded me that I have to trust what I get, was a woman had lost her dog, and I just kept getting the house, and she just yelled at me, and she's like, well, it's not in the house. It's like, okay. So I kept looking and looking and never got an answer. She found the dog in the house. It had been, behind the sofa or something like that. So, but it caused me to doubt myself. And so it kind of shook my confidence, even though ultimately the dowsing was correct. But I've had some big misses too.
Very good. And as Peter said, I think that sort of thing comes down to confidence, and the more times we do it, and the more times we can confirm it as being accurate. I think you get a sense when you're dowsing, don't you, that you're with your dowsing responses, and so I think probably for map dowsing, for physical things, it's a case of going out and trying it. The other thing as well was I know some people use a witness in their dowsing, So if there's something physical you're going out to find, like an artifact or something like that, maybe archaeological, then it might be an idea to, you know, to consider some sort of a witness for your dowsing.
Thank you. That is a great idea. I will do that.
Does anybody use Google Earth for the map dowsing?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I know that Peter Taylor uses it
Yes.
extensively
Yes.
for his water dowsing, probably almost exclusively.
Yeah. You as well, Sue? You use it?
Well, yes. In fact, I had a friend who asked me to find her son's cat called Myrtle. And they're all very fond of this cat, and they were distraught because it had been gone missing for a day. And I found the asking questions was more, I got better results than actually using Google Earth. I went to find the address and have a look. But I first asked how far away is the cat from where the owner is now? Paul, his name's Paul. And I got the cat was less than 50 yards away. And then I went onto Google Earth to look at his house on the map, and got that the cat was in a garden at the back of their gardens, and there was a sort of pathway between. But it was actually the neighbour who found it next door to where they lived, and she found it in her garden. So my first question was right, because it was less than 50 yards away. Now, what I didn't do was dowse from the point of their house and get a direction. I just went straight into Google Maps, and it was not the right thing to do. I should have followed up on the first question of less than 50 yards away. So I was, I didn't get it, but the cat was found, which was really good. So
yeah, well done, well done. Because often cats are, you'll find them up trees, won't you? They're not on the ground.
There's a fireman speaking.
Well, exactly. You never see the skeleton of a cat up a tree. Oh, if it had been a bit sooner. they always come down. They always come down.
Or in a cupboard.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
The thing is with Google Earth, though, it's not always accurate, is it? I mean, I've looked at our house on Google Earth a few times because we had some building work done a while ago, and it was nothing. It didn't represent what was happening in at the house at all. So whether you could use that for dowsing, a specific location on Google Earth, I just don't know. I don't think I would trust it, really.
Google Earth can be many years
out of date,
can't it?
You're very, very out of date and very misleading. I've done it looking, trying to do some cleansing on a property. And okay, I'm very much different. I'm a newcomer really to dowsing per se, but I've been doing cleansing of land in different ways beforehand. And I was absolutely horrified what I found on Google Earth, because this particular property had sort of dustbins and rubbish, and it was the most appalling picture that you could ever imagine. So if anybody was coming along to actually look to buy this particular property, they would have run a mile. I mean, it was beyond disgusting. So I said, look, to the owner, I said, look, first of all, you've got to get hold of Google Earth and get them to change the map and get the map absolutely, a little bit more up to date. It must have been about 30 odd years old or something, if that's possible. So it really does. Google Earth, I've used lots in the work that I've done so far. But as you say, it can be so very, very out of date and very misleading. And I know that as a side, friends who work from home, who have their sort of home picture on Google, you know, for Google or whatever. It's completely, it's sort of like, you know, 10 years ago when they were having the house refurbished, you know, and sort of a complete mess. So Google Earth is great, but to be done with caution, I think is the word.
I think Peter Taylor, when he can, he will use Google Earth, but he goes to the site to confirm his findings, mostly when he can. Sometimes he's working somewhere across a different side of the world, but he usually uses it to get close, so he saves walking around a field or a large area. But that's what he uses it for as well. Yeah.
But that's how he gets his confirmations, isn't it? Because
yes, that's it. Yeah.
He when he visits the site and compares it with what he's found on the map, then if the two when the two coincide, not if, because I think he's very accurate, then that builds his confidence for the next one.
Yeah, I think his recent one was in Thailand. He did a map dowsing job in Thailand, and he was accurate, real pinpoint to his findings.
I think that's the result of practice and experience, and building up that confidence.
Yeah.